Okay, folks. Okay, a little later than normal, but again, as promised, but you know what we do every single Sunday. Stay hired Sunday. If you're new around here, let me introduce myself really quick because I gotta pass the mic over to the I believe it was 26. She turned 26 this week, and I gotta make sure
Well, I
we gotta
like
make
you.
sure we give her flowers on her birthday week as she celebrated. So for the newcomers over here, name as one Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division One college football player, and current five-time, soon to be six-time. Been working on it all morning and all afternoon. Been getting all the stuff right. Soon to be six-time published author and educator. What I do, what I created, the whole Move Swiftly framework is taking the lessons that you learn on the team, teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field, and aligning them with businesses and business owners, so they have a staff and a group of employees that moves as efficiently as a championship high school or youth football team. Obviously, what Kimberly does is very conducive to that. So I'll let her tell you all about it, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Hassan, for the beautiful introduction. And yes, I was telling someone before we started that I celebrated my birthday week. Went
Yes.
fishing yesterday with a friend, went to lunch with my mom. Today I met my good friend and her
Mhm.
husband for lunch who are passing through on the way home to Georgia. And so it was amazing. But
Is
I'm
that a new
Kimberly
haircut
Blue.
too, by the way?
Yeah, well,
It's,
for today. Um,
yes. Mhm.
I'm Kimberly with Art and HR Solutions. I'll help businesses make it by staying ahead of the curve with innovative solutions for your people.
Yes, and let's get right into it because we picked up on something last week that I've been dying to get back to. Seeing that this week, what's crazy, Kimberly, is this week. So the school I teach at, we've had visitors from the UK. They've been
Okay.
with us all week and getting to know them and getting to know their lifestyle and the teachers and how they write in cursive. That's their main thing and what they value there versus what we value here. I mean, you talk about this DEI thing, and again, it further made no sense in terms of how it was explained to me. And you did some research, as you do. That's why you're Kimberly Blue, as to what it entails, what it's all about, especially being it's George Mason. It was George Mason you're at, right? The Patriots, right? Being on these college campuses, I know I've been to several colleges. My high school was kind of a college prep high school, so when you talk about DEI, it still is really fuzzy to me, and you did your research and you were able to come up with some information where we can kind of come back to it, seeing that, again, if you guys recall last week, she wasn't going to comment on something. I pulled out an article. She wasn't going to comment on it until she dug into it, did her research, did what she had to do. And here we are back on her birthday weekend that she did it. So I'll give you the floor to kind of speak on it.
Okay. So there's been a lot of talk about the DNI and people changing the way they do it.
Hmm.
And there is a place for it. Don't get me wrong, like we spoke about, but I want people to be chosen on their merit and not biometric. And I said that kind of like you ban the box on if somebody has, something in their background. And for me, banning the box on race and gender would further diversity efforts, right? So
Hmm.
there is a place for it, but let's focus on the outcomes. And with all the different articles and all the noise that you see, that was my one takeaway is that they're focusing on picking the right person for the right role. And one of the main things that and you might have heard this before, one of the main things they're doing is setting up their interview process to match the job so they get the right candidate.
Hmm.
Because when you do that, the diversity comes. And so
Hmm.
instead of we're looking for, this pool of candidates or this pool of employee groups, look for the person who with different lived experiences than you.
Hmm.
And I love that because we do all have different lived experiences.
Right.
And in order to be truly diverse, you do have to have that. You can't have somebody that looks like me, talks like me, thinks like me. Because
Hmm.
what are you going to get? You're going to get the same ideas over and over again. But
Right.
if you get people with diverse lived experiences,
Hmm.
that's where you're going to get the true diversity. So that was a short snippet
Hmm.
of what I found. And I like the outcome driven ideology. And so, what I did do for anyone that joins is that I
Yes.
created a toolkit just for this to frame
Hmm.
up a great program. And after the show, whoever joins, if you'd like it, you reach out
Hmm.
and we will send it to you. And you can put on your website if you'd like.
So when you bring up lived experiences, it's actually taken me back to all week. We've had so many things to do with these kids. I mean, I have literally hit the bed at after and been out like to the point where I mean, you know, you're gonna take a little nap and next thing you know, it's like, you know, 12, 1 a.m. in the morning because you were out because we went to a restaurant, then we went to like, you know, do some marine life discovery with the kids, then we did a beach cleanup and they're still gonna be here tomorrow, and Tuesday is going to be kind of like the goodbye. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because when you talked about lived experiences, what we did Monday, I thought was an unbelievable lived experience for these kids that they're never going to forget. So the school, it's a brand new private school, so we're survived by donors, and we have a lot of relationships, especially out here in West Palm Beach, where the cash is really flowing. I mean, we were like a mile away from Donald Trump's house doing the beach cleanup this past Friday. So, you know, the cash is flowing, right? So we actually took the kids to a restaurant named Lot 26. And the owner of the restaurant had it set up to where the kids made their own cake. They created their own dessert.
Oh,
And then they had the head chef come out who she was teaching them how to do certain things, what the measurements were. There was some math integrated in this in terms of graphs, fractions, all of these things. Now, I'm bringing this up because all this is what leads to having merit, what leads to being diverse and having merit. So when you talk about, you know, becoming qualified, because again, we are Stay Hired Sunday, what do you recommend that our leaders do, you know, whether it's business owners, whether it's parents, whether it's coaches, whether it's educators, it doesn't matter where you are in that world. It's parents, coaches, educators, and teachers. You guys know I primarily speak to you all because you are controlling the day to day. How do you make it so we're teaching young people how to create these lived experiences, though they walk into these job interviews very much having known certain things and having lived through certain experiences?
so from a whole all over
Yeah,
perspective, right? Because that's a
yeah,
big question. I
yeah,
would
yeah. Well,
say,
again, you see what we know what we do
right,
here.
but be different, think differently, because
Hmm.
we tend to stay in our comfortable zone.
Hmm.
That's normal, like human behavior. We're comfortable here. We are not going to move. So when you look for an experience for your family, for yourself, for
Hmm.
your employees, think outside of the box and what can I do differently that I'm doing now? And that's part of being an owner leader, being an owner yourself. You have to look out and say, what can I do different to teach something that's different than me and different than what they're used to? How different it would be for me to go to your family reunion, right?
Yeah.
The culture that you have in your family
Right.
and how much I would learn just through conversations.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to think about. What can we do differently to bring different experiences in?
Hmm.
And in what way? Because everybody has grown up differently and lived differently.
Hmm.
And if we embrace those cultures in those different ways, and by intentionally making decisions that are against how we live,
Yeah.
that is how we're gonna
Right.
make a difference. And
And
no matter what part of your life.
right. And folks, so for you guys who don't know, I will tell you now, especially if you're newer coming around here, we don't plan any of this stuff. I mean, we'll talk about a topic maybe the day before and just confirm that we're still on. But what has happened now is we've successfully transitioned Kimberly from the DEI conversation to the servant leadership conversation, in which we've been dying to get to. Because when you talk about creating those lived experiences and creating those situations in which kids or young people or anybody, when I say kids, I don't even mean kids by age, I mean kids by mindset. I mean kids that you happen to have in your business that are hungry, but they don't have the worldview that you have. You, my friend, as the owner, if you're not stepping out of your comfort zone, you are ultimately putting a cap on your business and putting a cap on your company. Because if you tell them to just do the status quo and just tell them, oh, do whatever's going to keep me from getting fired, do whatever's going to make the money now, then you are putting your company in a situation where you can get bought out. You can get to a place where now people don't really move with you. You're not moving up with the times. So when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone, how would you suggest that our leaders are doing it when they're already making enough to for them to be happy. Like what I've seen, especially in my world, is tenure. That word tenure is like it should be the outlet should be removed from the education experience, because what I've seen now is you have educators now, and I'm not just speaking to people from the school I'm at now, but I've seen this back when even I was in college and they had their tenure, and they're like, look, I'm throwing a video on. I got my money. I got my master's. I'm good. I don't care if the I don't care if the students get the lesson or not. You guys figure it out. What do you suggest that the leaders, the ones who really keep up with our stuff, do to get themselves out of their comfort zone, so that they can help the people that are looking up to them, following them. So again, we just do what we have to do to keep the society moving forward.
So it's funny that you mentioned tenure because that's a really big hot button for me.
Yeah, I'm telling you that word. It's the word.
Because
And you can see the people that
you can
move
see
with
my
that.
face go, oh, I gotta
Yeah,
keep it.
yeah, it is the worst. Not in our industry though, not in education. I mean, look, you want to be an accountant, or you want to do something like engineering, right? And you make a wrong measurement and a bridge falls or something like that. Something that, look, you can't make a mistake. In
Right.
education, it's all about making mistakes. Like it's all about learning
That's
from
how
them.
you
So
learn.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
how do you use that word tenure with our industry? And it drives me crazy. It does. I
It
mean,
it
the
does
teachers around
because
me.
what it's saying is that if I'm tenured,
Hmm.
then I could pretty much do anything I want or keep doing the same thing, and nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
I'm not gonna grow. I'm not gonna get better. I have to stay exactly where I'm at. Okay.
Hmm.
So when I think tenure before I started working in higher education is every time I hear the word tenure, I think unions, and that's a whole different topic. So,
Hmm.
audience, please calm down.
Right. Yeah.
It's a whole different topic, but to me, it's a red flag that there's a
Hmm.
place and time for everything. So, don't think I don't think that, and I know that I do.
Hmm.
But tenure tells me that it's just like you are more important because you have tenure. So what
Exactly.
you're saying is that we can't bring anything new to the table or better or think differently because we don't have tenure. But if you've been here 30 years, that means your opinion is worth more.
Hmm.
When we get out of that mindset that someone tenured, that right there is the issue
Hmm.
when it comes to even diversity.
Yeah.
Because when you're tenured, you also get in a mindset this is the way it's been, this
Yeah.
is how it has to continue, or it's not going to be good. So
Well,
when
what?
you get somebody new to come in that's not
Right.
tenured, you get fresh, new perspectives on what you're doing. So there's nothing wrong with blending the two together. And that's how
Mhm.
you stay fresh and relevant.
Because and that's what I'm saying. Like when you think about it, being tenured, it's almost like putting yourself at more of a risk in your job because you're not growing and you cannot predict the future. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. And for you to have the mindset that it's just going to be the way it's going to be because you're tenured, you leave yourself susceptible to anything new, some innovation, an investor doing this, investor doing that, or
Yeah.
just something. I don't know, the damn coronavirus, right? Something could happen that's going to make it so that ruins that 401k that you thought you had. I mean, I could tell you countless times I've had conversations with people, and they said, look, like a couple $1,000 out of my 401k is lost. Now I have to work an extra 5 years, and this happened, that happened. So when you talk about the goal for this is to stay hired, and the goal for this is to teach people how to stay hired. I guess the question would sort of be, how do we fight that? Because it's really difficult to tell a student, especially now I'm speaking on the college age student, it's really difficult to tell them not to go after security. It's really difficult to tell a mother not to go after some secure check that's going to make it so they know the check's coming in, mortgage is paid, bills are paid, food is on the table, and all that. What are some of the little things that a person can do that you would suggest, especially seeing that your clients and the people that you work with, what would you suggest to fight these urges that are naturally moving in the direction where it's like, hey, I hear you, Kimberly. I hear you, Aswan, but I got bills to pay. I got mouths to feed. I got food to put on the table.
I love it when I see tenure. So on the flip side of what I just said, right?
Hmm.
I love to see tenure But just because you're tenured doesn't mean that you can't bring new ideas. You have to stay relevant.
Hmm.
And so to answer that person that's just coming in, or the mother putting food on the table, or for us even, is by staying relevant. You can be tenured, but challenge yourself. Surround yourself with people that are different than you, different than how you look, different than how old you are. You have to surround yourself with all different types of people in order to hear different perspectives.
To Yeah, that's all. I've come up with the 5 questions to prompt now, so that's why
Okay.
I'm not. I am listening to you, but fighting the 5 questions about fighting the urge to get it to stay tenured or something like that. Would that work?
Let's see what it comes up with. I don't know if that one will work. We'll see. There's nothing wrong with tenure. It's more about pushing yourself when you are tenure to come up with new ideas and you
Well,
stay
no, they
relevant.
got some. There's some good ones. It's
Okay, let's go.
what is the real cost of staying comfortable? If I remain in this familiar position, what opportunities of growth and impact or fulfillment am I sacrificing? You want to
Staying
take that one?
being stagnant, not growing. You're because you're going to keep with the or stay with the ideologies that you had, and you don't push
Mhm.
yourself. So you're never going to learn. You're never going to grow. You're just going to stay in the same place, like running in place. It doesn't
Mhm.
get you anywhere. So pushing yourself to be better.
Right. And I want to kind of break this one down into dollars and cents too, because when you talk about real cost, it does cost to stay comfortable. Okay, because if you have a certain budget and you're like, look, I'm paying only for this and this, but you know it's going to break down after, I don't know, let's say, actually me and my girl, we were having a conversation yesterday about buying kids Jordans, right? And
Mm,
I it wasn't just her. I've had this. I actually did a whole episode on this like 2 years ago, before, well, long before I actually met her, and I titled it "Buying Jordans versus Paying for a Child Tutor, a children's tutor," and I actually broke down the cost of what it would cost to pay for Jordans versus what it would cost to get your child a tutor, and it was virtually the same amount of numbers versus a pair of Jordans that kids are going to wear. They're going to get them all scruffy. They're going to grow out of them. But you're comfortable because now you can put your child in a pair of shoes. And this isn't just one person. This is something I've seen as an epidemic. That's a huge problem because you
yeah,
get paid and you're putting your money on things that make you feel a little more accepted and more comfortable. Ultimately, that's going to cost you over time. So the real cost, the question about the real cost, it does cost you in the wallet. It does. You just don't see it because you got to the point where no one's calling you out on your bullshit, and you're not saying, "Hey, you're spending your money in the wrong way." In fact, I mean,
yeah,
speaking of that, just this Friday when we took the kids to this beach cleanup, I mean, this was Donald Trump's town. This is mansions. This is houses that actually, as one Crookshank is hoping to be able to purchase one of these houses at some point in the future. And one of the kids asked, "Yo, how do you even afford to buy a house like this?" And I told them, their money makes money. They don't spend their money on bullshit. They're not in the
I
club,
know.
making it rain. And they the ones created the liquor bottles that your ass or your parents goes and buy. And every time they go in a party, they just seeing their money coming in. They just watching it. They own the property that the damn club is in. That's how it happened. So the real cost of
You know
staying
why?
comfortable.
Is because they're uncomfortable.
That's
They
my
stay
point.
uncomfortable. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and that's the saying that I love is you gotta be so comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable. That
Yes.
and that only happens, folks. And I mean, I feel like I've said it every single. It's gotten here every single Sunday. That only happens when you really give a shit about the work you're doing. When you care so much that on a Sunday that is a quote unquote day of rest, you're gonna find the time to put in the work. You're gonna find the time, no matter what you did the weekend. You're going to find the time because you love it that much. This
Yes.
staying comfortable, the real cost, it will come. You just don't see it. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. I can go on
You
a tangent.
ask you ask the hard questions. Just like when you mentioned DNI last week. I mean, I was like, I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable because everything was new and coming out quick. and I'm reading as fast as I can. I'm learning as fast as I can, but
Hmm.
I'm still okay with talking about it
That's what I'm
because
saying.
it's conversations that have to be had in
Hmm.
order to grow.
Yeah.
So I love it. Be uncomfortable, being uncomfortable, and keep growing. That's
Hmm.
how you stay relevant and you stay hired.
Right. All right. So next one, I thought this one wasn't. Let's see. Am I still growing, or just going through the motions? Does my current situation? Good. All right. Or am I just coasting because it's it? Okay. Big one here. Challenge me. That's on you. This right here is big because that is a conversation that you're going to be having between you and the mirror, you and you. You know if you're being challenged. You know if whoever you're dealing with, whatever goal you set, whatever the thing is that you actually want to do, you know if it's a tall order, if it's something that you can quickly get to. And eventually you're going to see the results based on how you respond to that challenge. That's really all I have to say. I mean, you know if you're being challenged.
Yep. Be honest with yourself because it starts with you.
That this third one's pretty funny. Okay, the younger version of me be proud of this comfort zone. Is that what I dreamed of or have settled somewhere along the way? Ouch. Okay, this one's actually pretty big. I will go. I will go first. The younger version of me would have sort of said, I see what you're doing. It's just I didn't expect it to be doing it without the backing of an NFL team. Like that was the goal. The goal was to be working for an NFL team, and then the fact that I went out and I did that, and I saw the way things worked. I saw how many other people were doing it, like from a consulting contract standpoint, from their own books, from their own property, and the way that the NFL works. Then it was like, okay, me being with an NFL team is me actually staying in my comfort zone versus going and create something on your own and then allowing the entire NFL and football world to come to you. So I guess yes and no, but I'm still writing the script on that one. I'm not even close to being done.
I would say mine is the same.
Right.
So I remember the pivot, like I saw myself in a leadership role, of course, right?
Yes.
And helping leaders and executives, think differently when it comes to leadership. It's not the old box, way. It can't be that way in order to grow.
Hmm.
But like you, I expected to be doing it at a corporation. And
Right.
not that we don't have full-time jobs, right? Because we
Right.
do. We're
Right.
still writing the story.
Right.
However,
Exactly.
I remember that pivotal moment, and I spoke about this before, when my coach said, "Are you ready to do it or not?"
Hmm.
And I was like, "Yes, yes, I'm ready to do it." And I was scared out of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how am I going to do this? And there's nobody back here but me,
Exactly. Exactly.
you
It's just
know?
and that well that's pretty much what well you kind of already answered it, but number four is what is keeping me from leaping? Is it the fear of failure, judgment, starting over, or just the
Yes,
fear of the
all of
unknown?
those things.
Yeah, all of it. Um I'll
But
put
you have to do it and you have to keep, like we do, we keep showing up. We keep
right.
showing up every single Sunday. And that's what we have to do for our business. We have to do it for ourselves as leaders, as educators, as coaches. We have to keep doing that because in order for us to stay relevant, we have to push ourselves. And that's exactly what business owners need to do.
And I'll close it. Well, I'll close this question out with a story. So before we started recording, we're recording this right now. If you're listening to this on the Move Swiftly pod, by the way, every Sunday these will be on the Move Swiftly podcast as well. Now, so if you're listening to this live, just know it's about two. We started at 2:30 p.m. I sat down here and started working at around close to 12. It was a little bit after. Yeah, it was around 11, 12. And the first article I wrote was about a video that I put out a whole year ago that was about, Under Armour, who founded the company, a bunch of stuff, because this whole week I'm going to be talking about systems and what systems align. So if it's not out there, then you have to start from scratch. the thing that I picked up on as I was writing that is, even though the damn video came out a whole 11 months ago, it's still relevant today. So if you don't put it out, you just don't know if it's going to work. Like, well, I'll say it like this: the guarantee, if you don't put it out, is you're not going to get there. If you don't put it out wholly, authentically, as often and as frequently as you possibly can, you won't get there. All right, if you don't do it. Now, when it is out there, you stand the chance, and more importantly, you start to ask yourself, you start to see where the flaws are in yourself, and you can keep showing up every day. Then the
Yes.
opportunities come to you. But if you don't do it, it just isn't going to happen. And if you're okay with that shit, that's good riddance. But you won't last around here too often. So we'll see you somewhere. Being that person that didn't that's complaining or finding an excuse as to why you didn't make it. So we'll leave that one there. And then finally, number 5: how could I benefit if I choose discomfort over tenure? Could my risk empower others, family, team members, or my audience to pursue bold moves? All right, well,
That sounds like a really long question.
yeah, it's a long one. It's a long one. We'll break it down though. How could I benefit if I choose discomfort over tenure? Could my risk empower others, family, team members, or my audience to also pursue bold moves? 1,000% yes. 1,000% yes. I wonder if
I
it's
agree.
still okay. Yes. All right. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. So, not to do any plugs, but I just want to show you guys so you have some context here. All right. So, right here is where I like literally as I was wrapping up or I was getting ready to do this, I put this video or this live stream together. And this guy from Maryland, you know him, founder of Under Armour, Kevin Plank, and the whole thing. He's going to be the feature this week. And it's because the moves that he made empowers the people that were around him. And again, you know that area, you know it that very well. You know what he means to that area. Whenever you see that UA logo, it's more than a logo because you know that somebody put their work in and it's like, man, just this one little concept, and now he's built a worldwide brand. So yes, your audience, especially for your audience, you're going to pursue bold moves, but you have to really, really be all about it. You have to be willing to put the work in. That, and I'll leave it at that. I'll let you close it out.
I would say I love the bold moves.
Mhm.
You have to be bold, different, and push yourself to be different and surround yourself with different and who have the same mindset. Because once you make that decision, it's made and you have to move forward. And your old life is not going to get you to your new life.
Right.
So, live boldly, make bold decisions in your leadership and for your business, and just don't ever quit. And if you need partners, there's
Hmm.
people out there that are willing to help you
Yes.
make it and to make different things.
Hmm.
I think about when you were talking, I was thinking about our very first podcast to right now.
Yeah.
I want everyone to go pull it up.
Yeah.
Just pull
I'll
it up
pull it
really
up.
quick.
I'll pull it up.
And
Now that I've
it's,
learned how to do this real time.
yeah, I know, right?
Are you seeing it? Oh,
Not
wait.
yet.
Mm, all right.
So our very first one to now, but we kept doing it no matter how many times we
All
messed
right.
up.
Let's see. This was look at where 1 year ago NIL transfer portal. So this is my year ago, and this was her 11 views. Stay hired Sunday 5 months ago, folks. Are you seeing that?
And just the difference of,
Let me move this.
okay,
All right. There it is. Oh man, I have the same shirt on.
Okay, folks, here we are. Osborne Crookshank, Spitsley speaker, former Division I college football player, and current five-time published author and educator. Here for the first ever weekly live stream called Stay Higher weekly live streams. We're here every single
I forgot the Sunday, but yeah, you guys can see the point. We've been doing this a long time, and there's absolutely zero plan. I even had the little StreamYard thing here. Didn't know how to remove that yet. Let's see what else was going on.
I think if they just go and look at it. And but
Right.
that's what you have to do. You have to, because I was uncomfortable. I was scared. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Man,
You
yeah,
know,
this is a trip down
it,
memory lane. I didn't even sometimes I don't even be looking at it sometimes. So
but when you watch yourself, and I mean, you
Mhm.
have to do that because that's the only way you can get better, right? And
Exactly,
just look at
exactly.
just seeing the growth.
Uh-huh.
That should be enough for yourself, right? To drive you to keep pushing you to do more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all that being said, folks, we'll be back Sunday again. Hopefully, you're here, ready to go, ready to learn, ready to get better at something. Main website to check out to dive deeper into all the work I'm doing. It is makeyamove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com. Kimberly, I'll give you the last word to go ahead and plug away.
Well, it's nice being here as always. And if you need help with compliance and the new DEI landscape, you can reach me at myhr@ardentehrsolutions.com. Until next time.
Later, folks.